World Heritage listed Royal Exhibition Building is located in Carlton Gardens opposite the Melbourne Museum. It is conveniently located adjoining Melbourne CBD and is a short walk from Parliament train station and the 86 and 96 tram line. Joseph Reed of the firm Reed and Barnes was the architect for the Royal Exhibition Building. Built between 1879 and 1880, the influence of the design will be discussed later on in the documentary. Joseph Reed was born in 1823 and moved to Melbourne from Cornwall, London when he was 30 years old. He arrived in Melbourne in July 1853 and in January 1854 won the competition to design the public library. During the same year, he designed the Bank of New South Wales in Collins Street and the Geelong Town Hall. In 1856, he was the first elected member of the short-lived First Victorian Institute of Architects. Although Reed's work varied in quality, he dominated the architectural profession in Melbourne and is regarded as Victoria's pre-eminent colonial architect. Much of his success was achieved by participating in competitions, maintaining clients for a lifetime, and being chosen for important commissions. People have been known to call Reed as practical and decisive, an aggressive little fellow, but very kindly. The Exhibition Building and Carlton Gardens started construction in 1879 and completed in 1880 for the Melbourne's first international exhibition, a product of the optimism, enthusiasm and energy of the people of Melbourne in the late 19th century. The Royal Exhibition Building is a grand hall with many uses. A great variety of public events have been presented since the opening of the Royal Exhibition Building in October 1880. It showcased an assortment of wonders and a richness never before seen in Melbourne. The incredible displays presented at the fairs, fetes, and exhibitions included products, machinery, ethnographic items, and fine decorative arts from around the globe. Art shows, concerts, magic lantern shows, bicycle races, tugs of war, Olympic wrestling, baby shows, dog and poultry shows have also used the building over the years. An aquarium and museum occupied the eastern annex for over 60 years. In 1919, the Great Hall was used as a hospital for patients suffering in the Spanish influenza pandemic. An annex housed the first exhibitions of the Australian War Memorial and, during the Second World War, trainee technicians from the Royal Australian Air Force lived there and tried to sleep in the echoing hall. After the war, a migrant reception centre was established in the grounds, and many new migrants spent their first evenings in Australia in the shadow of the building. From the 1940s, little consideration was given to the historical significance of the building, which became run down and was often called the White Elephant. However, a gradual appreciation of its heritage value meant the restoration work commenced in 1985. The Royal Exhibition Building is the only surviving Great Hall that once housed a 19th century international exhibition. Joseph Reed was greatly influenced by many sources around the world, such as the German Rundbogenstil, a round-arched architectural style combining elements from the Byzantine, Romanesque, Lombardic and Italian Renaissance buildings. The dome's design was influenced by Brunelleschi's 15th century cathedral in Florence. The building is cruciform in plan, comprising of a pair of elongated rectangular wings, extending east and west, with a transept to the north and a truncated transept to the south. When it was built, the Great Hall was the largest building in Australia and the highest building in Melbourne. It is brick, set on a bluestone base, and has 4 triumphal entrance porticos, one on each side. In 1880, the window and door joinery was painted green. The rendered walls were left unpainted. The combined effects of trams, horse-drawn traffic, and industrial pollution gradually discoloured the exterior surface of the building. It was painted for the first time in 1888 and on several subsequent occasions throughout the 20th century. The interior colour scheme of 1880 was replaced with a new scheme for the 1888 International Exhibition. In 1901, the interior was redecorated in time for the opening of the first Commonwealth Parliament of Australia. The decorations were directed by John Ross Anderson, who is also well known for the interior design of the ANZ Gothic building in Collins Street. The Great Dome was painted to represent the sky. Underneath are four mottos suitable for a new nation: De Gracia, by the grace of God; Carpe Diem, seize the day; Od Sapere, dare to be wise; and Benigno Numine, with benign power. A frieze shows the products of agriculture and hints at the wealth of the new nation. On the arches are lunettes that represent peace, war, federation, and government. The Federation image shows Britannia welcoming the 6 federated states as young women, while the government image shows knowledge enthroned, surrounded by figures representing the arts, education, and defence. 8 women in draped costumes symbolise the 4 seasons: night and morning, and justice and truth. Under the dome are plaster heads from the first decorative scheme of 1880. They include an Indigenous Australian, a Chinese man, and an Indian. The international exhibitions advertise the determination, spirit, courage, and the strong development of the Industrial Revolution. They provide a new and innovative way for countries to communicate, exchange, and share each other's culture, values, ideas, and technology in the modern world. The most famous international exhibition was the 1851 Crystal Palace in London, which is thought of by Queen Victoria's husband, Prince Albert. It is seen as the beginning of international exhibitions. The exhibition building is mainly comprised of glass with iron to hold it together. The glass curves over the trees, providing a very long alleyway for stalls to be put up. When it rained, the rain would wash the glass so that it would be clean and shiny again. The exhibition building was over half a kilometre long and roughly 150 metres wide. It exhibited over 100,000 objects with over 15,000 contributors, and of course Britain occupied just about half of the space inside. The Crystal Palace exhibited many artefacts and innovations such as French sculptures, weapons, printing machines, and the list goes on. The Great Exhibition shaped the progress of international exchange, culture, design, education, and tourism. The Crystal Palace is seen as the fundamental example of international exhibitions. It helped shape the way exhibitions were later perceived. The Royal Exhibition Building was designed with its original purpose, but Melburnians wanted to go a step further and design a building that would stay as a symbol of Australia's cultural diversity. The Royal Exhibition Building was designed to be the Great Hall, or Palace of Industry, and be the focus of attention in comparison to all the other international exhibitions. To achieve this, the building was constructed so that it was a permanent structure that would play a future role in the cultural activities of the growing city. The building magnificently reflects the global influence of the international exhibition movement of the 19th and early 20th century. This movement exhibited technological innovations and change which helped promote a rapid increase of industrialization and international trade throughout the exchange of knowledge and ideas. The 1880 and 1888 Melbourne exhibitions were the largest events staged in colonial Australia. In 1880, the exhibition attracted more than 1.5 million visitors over 8 months, and a much larger number in 1888, with the attendance being around 2.2 million. The exhibitions helped to introduce the world to Australian industry and technology. In 1901, the building played a significant role in Australian history as it accommodated the very first Australian federal election. Prime Minister Edmund Barton wanted the election to be as inclusive as possible, and no other public building could accommodate such a large amount of people, and the coordinators were keen to make the event spectacular and memorable. After the long process of negotiation, drafting the Constitution and referendums leading up to the Federation, the Commonwealth of Australia had its first elected federal government. To celebrate, the Australian national flag with the Southern Cross was hoisted at the exhibition building. The whole process represented Australian independence after a long period of British colonial rule. The exhibition building is surrounded by 2 breathtaking gardens that acquire sweeping lawns with Australian and European trees planted everywhere. The Carlton and South Gardens again represent the cultural diversity within Australia. The garden today remains in its original layout from the 1880 exhibition. The South Garden is occupied by the avenues, one of them being the Grande Allée that leads to the exhibition building, the French feature entrance fountain of 1880, luscious garden beds, and 2 small ornamental lakes. The garden today is used for parkland and exhibition purposes. The North Garden, on the other hand, was designed as a temporary garden that would be removed after the temporary exhibits on the north side of the Carlton Gardens. The garden was reinstated after the first exhibition with treed avenues of oak and elm on an east to west path. The National Museum of Melbourne sits next to the North Gardens. International exhibitions have had a great impact on the world and remain to do so today. Of all the remarkable exhibition buildings that have been constructed, only a few remain and even fewer maintain their original authenticity. The Royal Exhibition Building, on the other hand, is a rare survivor that is still in its original condition surrounded by the Carlton Gardens.